You're online at the Feel Good Station. Your first stop for feel good music, feel good chat, and much, much more.
The Cellar of Horrors.
Greetings and welcome to the Cellar of Horrors. I'm your host Tim Mendes and I'm joined by my co-presenter Septimus the Spider, who for some reason seems to have a bit of a cob on this week. Yes you do, you've been belligerent all day. I don't know what's wrong with you. It's my fault. Oh, you're not still moaning about that web, are you? I accidentally ruined one of his webs while I was dusting this morning. Look, I've told you I'm sorry, okay? Okay, Anyway, yeah, we kicked off that show with a Stone Cold classic from the band X-Mal Deutschland. That was When Devils Come from their 1989 album Devils. At the moment, all these old bands from the 80s, like goth bands from the 80s, bands like Ghost Dance and things like that, they all seem to be coming out of the woodwork. Into a Circle have come out of the woodwork, and people like that. So what I want is I want an X-Man Deutschland reunion. I love that band, and I never got to see them. So I really, 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 fingers crossed. Come on, guys, please, for me, want an X-Man Deutschland reunion. We have a packed show lined up for you this week. I'll be joined by special guests Scare Taxi and Shelly Campbell, a Canadian horror writer, to talk about her book Gulf. I will also be playing you new tracks by Inertia, Spawn of Psychosis, Skeletal Family, and Flesh Tetris. But I think I need to do something to cheer up El Spido here. But what I'm going to do, you, Spider, is to cheer you up, right? You know, last week when we had our impromptu Nightbreed special, we played the song Persecution by Intravenous, and I was talking about the fact that the band split and became two different bands. I mean, that happens quite a lot. I mean, it happened, another great example is Necromantic split and became Mechanical Cabaret and Cat Scam. So what we're going to do now for you, Mr. Spider, because you've been asking about it all week, haven't you? You want it as your choice this week. Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to play a song by both of those splinter bands. First, we'll play a song by the band Method Cell, and secondly, we'll play a song by Razor Fade.
Judge me now. Keep your safety guide. It's more than I'll allow. You've got no right to counsel. Your own life is barely facts. You're so quick to give advice, but I'll just give it back. And I'll make you spend all your life running with scissors.
You're online at the Feel Good Station.
There you go, Septimus. 2 tracks full of synthy goodness. Are you going to forgive me now? You'll think about it. Okay, it's a start. It's a start. The first track you heard there was Scissors by Method Cell from their 2010 album Curse of a Modern Age. That was followed by Liberation. That was a radio edit by Razorfade from their 2009 EP of the same name. Now, both those bands spawned from Intravenous, the classic Nightbreed band. If you want to check out last week's impromptu Nightbreed special, it's now available on Mixcloud, as are all of the previous episodes. That's, just look up Tim Mendes on Mixcloud and you'll find it. It's also available on my YouTube channel. We're going to move on to our first guest of the evening in just a moment. We'll be joined by Tara and Boag, the band Scare Taxi. I first discovered them fairly recently, although I think they've been around for a while, we'll find out. I discovered them supporting Gene Loves Jezebel at the Albert in Brighton not that long ago. It was a fabulous show, even despite the trials and tribulations that Gene Loves Jezebel had to go through. At the beginning of their tour, they had their van broken into and all their gear nicked, so they were doing the tour on basically borrowed equipment. and all the merch they had left was the stuff that Bug had in his garage. Luckily, there was some big bloke-sized T-shirts, so I was happy. And I know people who were slightly more slender than I were slightly miffed. But what can you do? Also, Jay Aston had a throat infection, so yeah, he was really up against it, but blimey, he put on a good show. He soldiered through, and it was like the epitome of the ethos, the show must go on. And Scare Taxi were an amazing opener. So, yeah, just before we get to them, we're going to play you a classic by Gene Loves Jezebel. I'm going to play you Desire, Come and Get It, from the album Discover.
Where it is you're hiding, I've been
Good Station, taking you to the best shows.
Okay, welcome back to the Cellar of Horrors on the Feel Good Station. The track you just heard was Lunacy by Scare Taxi. Now I'm joined by the two members of said band, Tara and Boag. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. How did Scare Taxi sort of come about?
In my little flat, I think, originally, wasn't
Was
it?
Well, I read that on your Bandcamp thing, that it was like you got bored of making noise on your own or something.
That's it, yeah, definitely. And I think when I met Boag, he was still with the Orphans, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we started doing music together, didn't we? And sort of left Orphans and come over to the more 80s alternate side.
Yeah. Over to the dark side. Yeah.
I went from the weird side to the dark side, but yeah.
Nice. Yeah. The two are often very close. So
yeah, it's all alternative, isn't it? So
this is it.
Lots of junctures.
Yeah, this is it, because I've thought about this earlier, how I would introduce your band, what I would sort of, because out of a lot of bands you could say, oh, they're goth or they're post-punk or they're this or that or the other. I have real difficulty pigeonholing you guys, and that's great. What would you describe yourselves as? Just alternative sort of?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I come from my influences are a lot more 80s, so more gothy, post-punk, and that sort of stuff.
Right.
But Boag, you're more. What would you say your influences are?
More 70s and 90s, to be honest.
Right.
You know, missed the 80s a bit. I think it's because I lived through the 80s, so I can't remember a lot.
Yeah, it was a blur.
So it's a kind of fusion between the both of us, but I think our newer stuff, the stuff that we're writing now, has become a bit more cohesive. I think we've got more of a cohesive sound to Scare Taxi now that we've worked with each other for quite a few years. So
yeah, because I saw you recently. It's the first time, to be honest, I wasn't aware of you until I saw you supporting Gin Loves Jezebel on their recent tour. Yeah. And that was a great show. That was just a really good night for me, because I'm a big fan of Jezebel, and I was really, really surprised, like pleasantly surprised, like, oh, who are this lot? You know, this is cool. This is good. And I thought you did a great show. I mean, yeah, and I think everybody there would agree that you did a really good show. And the energy you guys had was really came across.
Both liked bombing around the stage, didn't you?
Yeah, it felt like a homecoming gig, because it was Brighton and it was the Albert, and it just felt like a big occasion. It was meant to be when they booked the gig originally. It was meant to be the last night of their tour. Yeah, so it's going to be like a huge end of tour thing. But
I was supposed to be doing the after show party.
Oh right,
yeah, I was supposed to be doing the after show. Yeah, it was going to be a Release the Bats special after show thing, because I've done a few of those for bands over the years, and I'd spoke to Frank about it, and because it was originally going to be down the Haunt, and they have the really early curfew. So
that's right. Yeah,
that's how I've done it before. It's like I basically end of the gig, I get in a taxi, I run off down the road, I get there, plug my decks in, and there we go.
Oh man, you should do that to a Benny Hill theme on the way there.
Oh yeah. Definitely. To be honest, that's just setting up in general, isn't it? Like anything, like when bands are about to go on, you could put the Benny Hill theme on and it'd be absolutely hysterical, especially with all the dry ice. Yeah. Like imagine if you did it at like a Sisters gig with all the roadies and running about.
Oh yeah, that'd be funny.
So how long's Scare Taxi been going then?
5 years now. It was 2017 was our first gig, and it was at the Concord 2 for At the Edge of the Sea festival that the Wedding Present put on.
Yes.
And well, you had the conversation, didn't you, about what we were we going to be good? Was the question, and then we had to sort of own up that it was our first gig.
And it was my first gig for 13 years. I hadn't been in bands for 13 years, and my first gig was at Concord. I was terrified.
I can imagine. Yeah, no pressure.
No.
A day festival, no pressure. Yeah, it's not like you're just playing in the back room of somewhere, is it? You know?
Yeah.
And they went like, "You better be good," and we were.
That was what I wanted to come off, give it a little cheeky B side, you know.
Yeah. Told you.
Excellent. Yeah, so we'll talk a bit more about your touring and then about your album and things like that when we come back. But for now, we're going to play another one of your tracks. Would you like to tell people what you'd like me to play?
Yeah, this one's called Anna.
Inside my dream
we're back on the Cellar of Horrors with Scare Taxi. The track you just heard was Anna, and that's from your album. What's it called again? Because I've completely blanked on that.
That's okay. So have I.
It's called Death by Music.
That's it. Oh, yes. And yeah, it's available on Bandcamp, I believe.
It's available everywhere: Apple, Amazon, everywhere you want. Any digital platform, it's out there. Yeah, we there was a guy in New York who just contacted us and said, "I want to release your album." And we went, "Okay, what's the catch?" No catch. And he did it all, and he did a worldwide release on every single digital platform. So on the same day, which I think was, memory serves me well, January the 17th, 2020. I think.
Wow,
that's incredible.
Can't remember a thing about the 80s, but I can remember that.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Yeah, because I can imagine you. Yeah, here we go. What do you want?
I'm the opposite. I can remember everything about the 80s and nothing like I did last weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle. It's the 90s that I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's a just complete mess. Like, yeah, it's always nice when things like that happen, you know. But it's that natural British skepticism, I think, you know, so what are you after? So tell us a bit about the album. How long did it take you to write it, put it together, that kind of stuff?
Well, how do you describe, you know, when you've got like a back catalogue of stuff you've done,
yes,
and stuff that you're writing now and stuff that we've done together. So it was kind of like put a dinner together from everything that you found in the fridge and the cupboards and stuff like that.
Nice.
But it was kind of our recent history and a bit of past history plus the present all put together. I think when you listen to the album, you get that, don't you? That, like you said earlier, it's hard to pigeonhole it.
Oh yeah.
But there's a reason for that. It's because it was kind of cherry picked from lots of different sources, bits of Tara's past, bits of mine, bits of us together.
Right. The bits maybe that we hadn't used in other bands that we just pulled and rewrote.
It's more about the songs than you know. Sometimes a band get a sound and then they kind of plow that field, and then they do 10 songs with that kind of ilk, that sound, that pace, that energy, whatever. It wasn't like that for us. It was more like the songs came together and became the album. And and then it was just because it was me and Tara doing it, it sounded like Scare Taxi rather than writing Scare Taxi songs. Yeah. Whereas I think with the next album, because we've written together, we've gigged together, we've done, you know, experienced all of this together. I think the next album will be more Scare Taxi. It will be us together writing a song. So we will plough the field of Scare Taxi.
Nice. I like some of the analogies you're coming out with here, like making a meal and ploughing a field. It's all very domestic. I like it.
Yeah, God, showing our age.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, no, it's I really like the sort of the eclectic nature of the album. I think it works very well. But I know exactly what you mean. It's like, a band has a sound, and some bands have a sound per album, don't they?
True,
yeah. So it'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to hearing new stuff because I pretty much fell in love with it at that gig. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what new stuff you got coming out. So when you do have new stuff, you'll have to let us know and we'll get some on the show.
Definitely, that'd be great. But we are working on a good friend of mine who's we're very kindly going to do a video for us. We're going to get a single out in the next sort of 6-8 weeks or so, and then follow up with an EP. But that will probably be more towards the beginning of next year with the EP. Marvelous. But won't be too long, hopefully.
We felt that pressure of like, got to do another album, but do you? Not in this digital age?
Yeah.
Do you have to do album promotion, gigs, interviews, or can you just like let it out when it comes? You know, you create something, let it put it out there, let's see what people think of it. You know, it doesn't have to be a big huge, let's go back to the analogy, it doesn't have to be a 3-course meal.
It could be an hors d'oeuvre.
Exactly.
I like it. Little taste aperitif. I like it. Yeah, there we go. Back to the sort of more traditional way of getting your stuff out there. Have you got any shows lined up, or is that something you'll be looking to do later when you've released your new EP?
We have got a couple, but not the next one we've got is November the 4th, and that's in Worthing at the
Cellar Arts Club.
Cellar Arts Club. And
Nice.
then the one after that isn't until December the 17th, but that's with Pink Turns Blue, so we're really excited
Ooh.
about that.
Where's that?
That's at Electroworks.
Oh,
so
right. I might have to go to that. Big fan of Pink Turns Blue.
Yeah, well,
I've never seen them, so
No.
I might have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I only just discovered them in January, and then Frank offered us the gig in May, I think, April, May. It's like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, we're stepping on. I mean, they have got a main support, but to play that, to play with such a great band is
wonderful.
really good. Yeah,
That's excellent.
We have found in the post-COVID world it is quite difficult now getting gigs, and just before COVID happened, we were really on a run. The album had come out.
Yeah,
we were getting gigs left, right, and centre. We got a gig in Germany, a gig in Spain, and then COVID hit, and that was it. We couldn't get to Spain, we couldn't get to Germany. Everything shut down, as you know, and it's really, really grinding along at the moment. It's really hard to get in any venue, get in with a promoter even. They're just trying to catch up with themselves, I think,
Yeah, and there's still so many we was going to support Twin Tribes at the Albert in April, and
I was supposed to go to that as well.
Yeah. I actually bought tickets to go and see them, and then got off the support. I was like, okay, bonus.
I'll have my money back.
Yeah, so that's a shame that they couldn't come over, but it's happening to everybody. It's just the way it is at the moment. So yeah,
we'll lump on that the crisis, with no one's got as much money as they have. So no
exactly, everyone's skint. Yeah.
You end up going around at other people's houses with your six cans of beer, and that's it, isn't it?
That's precisely it. Yeah, that's basically my social life is sort of bottle of gin and some mixers.
Yeah, but if it keeps carrying on, the pub's going to have to put up with drinking prices and all the rest of it. So
this is it, isn't it? Yeah. So, it's like I went up to London for the first time since lockdown earlier in the year to see The Mission and Rose of Avalanche, and I walked into a pub and I nearly collapsed. It's just like it was expensive before. Bloody hell.
Why did you go to London to see The Mission and not see them in Brighton?
Because I actually had tickets for both of them, for both shows, but I had to have some emergency dental work on the night of the Brighton show, so I gave my tickets to Andrew from Inertia. Yeah, to Andrew Lowlife. Yeah, I gave him and Claire my tickets because
brilliant.
I was basically
we was out with them that night, didn't we?
Yeah, we were there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. It's great to have you in. And like I say, when you get when your new EP comes out, you can come back on, talk about it, and definitely we play the single when it comes out. Anything like
brilliant.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. So, yes, have you got a track you'd like to play us out on?
Yeah, I think Twin Tribes, Heart and Feather.
Perfect. Great song. Thanks very much.
We cannot hide the unknown.
Welcome back to the Cellar of Horrors. That was Heart and Feather by Twin Tribes from their 2019 album Ceremonies, and it was the pick of our guests Scare Taxi. So thanks again to them, and if you want to get in touch, if you want to come on the show, get in contact with me at Cellar of Horrors, all one word, all lowercase, at gmail.com. That's cellarofhorrors@gmail.com. I'm also active on all the social media platforms, and there is actually a Cellar of Horror groups on Facebook, so come and join us and have a chat and whatever. I promise I'll keep Septimus off you. Okay, what we're going to do now, because we're hurtling towards the end of the first hour, like headlong. It's like we're running out of time, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop yapping and I'm going to play the first of our new tracks for the evening. This is the new video by the amazingly named Flesh Tetris. It's called Slimy Garnish.
Slug in my food. Pass me the salt. It's the seasoning of the bitch. Watch it shrivel, watch it die, and disappear before my eyes. Bye bye slug, slug bye bye. Full of germs. See the doctor, report the crime. This isn't right at any time. Bye bye slug, slug goodbye. Oh slimy garnish, where did you go? Around and around the salad bowl. Off the table and across the floor.
Slimy Garnish. Yep, that was Slimy Garnish by Flesh Tetris. It's just been released on their YouTube channel on the video. As of recording, it hadn't actually gone up on any of the downloading places, but I'm assuming it will very shortly. If not, go to their YouTube channel and watch the video. I beseech you, go and watch this video. It's the band, but they're playing and all the rest of it. But the scene where they're menaced, B-movie horror style, by UV slugs has got to be seen to be believed. I nearly cried. I was laughing that hard. Yeah, I love them. I love Flesh Tetris. They're absolutely superb. The world needs more ridiculous bands like Flesh Tetris. And I say ridiculous in the most flattering of terms. Honestly, brilliant stuff. Oh, I don't know if you heard that clunk there. I think that Septimus just slammed my pocket watch down on the desk. I think it's his way of telling me to get a move on. Seriously, I don't know what's up with him today. He's such a cantankerous little so-and-so. Anyhow, yeah, Flesh Tetris, they played some gigs at the end of September. I've not actually managed to see them live yet, but I will. I am definitely going to go to them as soon as humanly possible. I want a Flesh Tetris t-shirt. Okay, we're going to move straight into our second new release of the evening now, with a song by UK industrial electro stalwarts Inertia. I played their cover of Peter Gabriel's Games Without Frontiers on the last show, and I promised you this. It's a collaboration with Belgian band This Morn Omnia, who they're a hard one to describe. I wasn't familiar with them, but I've looked them up, and I've actually ended up buying a couple of their albums because it's right up my street. It's sort of ritual noise, industrial, bit of techno, dark ambient, a lot of soundscapes, a lot similar to a lot of the stuff that people like Nox Arcana and things like that put out. It's really dark, really sort of. Yeah, it's sort of the sort of stuff you can lose yourself in. I'm thinking it's going to be great writing music. That sort of I can just bang it on my headphones and go to a weird place. I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And if I do find any that's sort of radio friendly, I'll put some on. But I'm not holding out much hope. Yeah, this came out very recently, and it's called Heartbeat.
tears for the crowd.
You're online at the Feel Good Station, your first stop for feel good music, feel good chat, and much, much more.
The Cellar of Horrors.
In the day, nothing matters.
Welcome back to the Cellar of Horrors on the Feel Good Station. That was a cover, this week's random bizarro cover of Laura Branigan's Self-Control by Leeds-based band Zeitgeist Zero. I love it. I think it's great. Septimus does as well, don't you? Yeah, he's been dancing around like a fool. You know what he's like. He's a sucker for anything synth-heavy. Well, though, saying that, you're a big fan of the original as well, aren't you? Thought you were, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Zeitgeist Zero I've noticed on their Facebook thing recently that they've been in the studio and they've been doing stuff, so it looks like they're active. So yeah, I'm definitely going to keep my eye open, and if they get anything else, if they get anything new out, I'll definitely get it on. I'll put on some other stuff at some point as well, because I think they're a great band. They're a really good band. Coming up in this second hour, we'll be joined by US horror writer Shelly Campbell to talk about her book Gulf and various other bits and pieces, and we will also play the new single from Skeletal Family. As we continue to hurtle towards Halloween, I've had my eyes open for horror movies. You know, spooky season, you've got to get the old horror movies on. And I noticed that body horror supremo, you know, the king of body horror, Mr. David Cronenberg, has just released a new movie. It's called Crimes of the Future, and I saw the trailer, and it's there's lots of like people having their lips stitched up and, you know, tubes being inserted into people's backs. So it looks like Mr. Cronenberg has gone back to his roots. You know, he's gone back to his grim and grisly body horror roots, and I've got to say that makes me incredibly happy. That probably makes me a very strange person, but I don't care. That makes me happy. So what we're going to do next is we're going to play a song inspired by Cronenberg, because in '96 he put out an adaptation, a particularly twisted and disturbing adaptation of a very twisted and disturbing novel. He put out Crash, which was an adaptation of the novel by J.G. Ballard, and it was brilliant. And yeah, it was very, very strange and very sort of, yeah. We can't talk about a lot of it on air, put it like that. But yeah, if you're familiar with the premise of the book, it was pretty faithful. What else is also pretty faithful is this song inspired by the same novel, also inspired by J.G. Ballard's Crash. This is Warm Leatherette by The Norm.
Online at the Feel Good Station.
Welcome back to the Cellar of Horrors. The first song you heard there was The Normal with Warm Leatherette, which was their first ever single, well, their only single. It was a double A-side with TVOD. Now, The Normal was the project of Mr. Daniel Miller from Mute Records, and it's brilliant. It's like one of the things that sort of kicked off the whole synth pop revolution in the early 80s. It's one of the earliest synth pop singles. It's great track. And after that, you heard the unmistakable dulcet tones of Mr. Wayne Hussey. That was The Mission with Metamorphosis from their album Another Fall from Grace. I saw them recently playing Shepherd's Bush. I'd had the tickets for 2 years. I got them before the lockdown. And yeah, it didn't disappoint. It was a fantastic night. They were supported by the band I'm going to play next, Rose of Avalanche, and a band I played on the first ever show, Ist Ist. So without further ado, we're going to be joined with our guest after this next track, so stay tuned for Shelly Campbell. The next song is Too Many Castles in the Sky by the Rose of Avalanche.
Lost my baby yesterday. I lost stars in the sky. So many men say, come on, let's go for a ride, baby, in my car. Ride, baby, right through my heart. Through my heart, baby, yeah, yeah. Through my heart. Through my heart, baby, yeah, yeah. Through my heart. Through my heart, baby, yeah, yeah. Through my heart. Through my heart, baby, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Now I want to go dancing. That was Too Many Castles in the Sky by the Rose of Avalanche. A track that I said to my partner just before we got into the show, when we were sort of standing outside waiting for the doors to open. I said, you know what? I'll sulk if they don't play Too Many Castles in the Sky. And they opened with it. So I was a happy chap from that moment on. Okay. Now, welcome my second guest of the evening. I'm here with Shelly Campbell, who's up in Alberta, Canada at the moment. How are you doing, Shelly?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have people on, from around the world. It's yeah. So, what's it like up there at the moment?
We've had an unseasonably warm summer, and usually we get snow by now, which is kind of depressing. But yeah, so far we're all right. It was quite warm for the weekend, but it's coming to an end. Usually we don't get much of an autumn here, so we'll just be abruptly into winter.
Yeah,
from summer weather.
That happens up in Scotland. It's just like, you go from warm to freezing. Yeah. We've had a ridiculously hot summer as well. We've had like weird heat waves. We even had droughts.
Yeah.
Like in a country that rains as much as the UK.
Right.
It's just been weird. And then people say that climate change isn't a thing. So it's just, well, this is different to when I was like 2 years ago. So
Right.
Yeah. So what would you describe yourself as in terms of, because I know I've seen you do a bit of everything really in terms of writing.
Yeah, I can't seem to settle into anything. My first series was a fantasy series, kind of grimdark. If you cross like Game of Thrones, but with something like Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern. So
nice.
Kind of a darker version of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I did golf, which was, I didn't even know where to query it. I'm like, I think it's horror. It's kind of a quiet horror. And then I just released with a co-author, young adult sci-fi that's post-apocalypse set in Western Canada. It's all about like solar flares and such. So I kind of bounce around. Most of my stuff, other than the latest YA, is a bit darker. It's always got a bit of darkness to it because that's fun to play with.
Yeah, I noticed that when I'm just looking on Goodreads earlier, I noticed you're in Midnight from Beyond the Stars.
Yes.
That's one that's been in my basket for weeks. It's something I need to pick up at some point. It's
really fun one.
Yeah. So, how long have you been doing it then, writing?
For ages. I picked up like a diary that we found in my mom's basement, and my sister and I couldn't figure out whether it was mine or hers. It was this little pink thing with a lock on it, and I swore to her, oh, it's yours for sure. There's no way I'd own something like that. And so we busted the lock open, and it turned out it was mine. And from the dates, we could kind of sort together. I was somewhere around 8 or 9, and even in it, I'm like, I'm going to be a famous writer someday. So a little bit full of myself at 8 years old, I think. but always is there. Parents were always getting called into school offices because my stories didn't have happy endings, that sort of thing.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I had very similar problem. I had a morbid tastes apparently.
Scared your parents too?
Oh yeah, I had concerned letters sent home because I'd done like creative writing. It was in primary school, so I wasn't very old, and I was reading Ramsey Campbell as well. They were just like, should he be reading this at his age? It's like, he's fine, just leave him alone. He's happy, just leave him alone. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? It's how at an early age you can sort of get into all this weird stuff, but you accept it for what it is. You know? I think people don't give kids enough credit. Distinguishing between what's real and what's a book.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're fairly good at it at a youngish age.
Yeah, this is it. So with your young adult, I mean, have you had to tone it down, or because I've never really written young adult or anything like that, and it's something I've thought about, but I don't know how I would go about it.
I did. Right down, I had to definitely sift through and be like, okay, do a find and search of all the swear words you would normally use in certain situations. Because again, my main character is 16. Right. So golf, I almost ran into this because the main character is 17, and but it's more of a horror. So I mean, there's just certain things you're going to say when you're really scared when you're 17. Well, yeah, most likely. But
gosh, what is that?
Right. But the sci-fi, it's not as much as a horror. It's more like exploring world building, stuff like that. So it was a little bit easier to tone down. It was fun to write because I have kids that are 11 and 13 now, and they're like, Mom, could you write something we could read at some point before we're adults? I'm like, yeah, I could give that a go. Yeah. I find it was fun to try and be more creative too, because I've got mad respect for YA authors, because they have to do all the same descriptive writing and imagery, but you got to be careful to keep it simple and not get too flowery with the prose, because where no one's going to hang in with that. That's
where I really struggle, because obviously I come from reading Lovecraft and stuff, so I'm pretty purple with my prose. I love big flowery descriptions and big words. Because I did something recently because I wanted to challenge myself, the same sort of thing. So it's for teenagers and whatever. I did a Lovecraftian short story for it. And that was a challenge. It was you can't do that.
There was a lot of crossing out.
Yeah, a lot of red pen, the red pen of doom.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly play another track. In keeping with the theme of toning things down for children and things like that, and, people being worried about whether things are suitable or not, here's My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult with Do You Fear for Your Child?
Do you fear for your child? Straight out of hell. Do you fear for your child? Straight out of hell. Do you fear for your child? Do you fear for your child?
that was My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult with Do You Fear for Your Child from their first album, 1988's I See Good Spirits and I See Bad Spirits. And we're back with Shelly Campbell. So, yeah, you've mentioned it a couple of times now, your book Gulf. I believe it's having a re-release.
Yeah, it's re-releasing on October the 8th. I have a publisher here in Canada, Erie River. That's
that's a familiar
you may have
name.
Heard of them.
Yeah,
that's going to be releasing it.
I didn't realize.
You may be familiar, Tim.
I didn't actually realize that.
I'm excited because I do a lot of art as well. So we thought, what could we do to make it new and interesting as a re-release? So I'm doing a lot of creepy interior art of my own, and cool. It's got an extra bonus chapter on the end from a different perspective. So that'll be fun for readers that knew it when it released last year.
So it's like the director's cut.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I always say. It's the director's cut. You know? Mucked about with it a bit. You know?
Yeah, this is the one.
Yeah, no, that's great. I actually didn't realize it was the re-release was with Erie River. Yeah, I fought with them a lot. So, it's great. Yeah, it was wonderful working with Michelle. This is really good to bounce ideas off and things like that. So yeah.
I'm excited.
So when is that coming out again?
Sorry?
When's that coming out again, the re-release?
It's coming out October 8th. So
October the 8th, perfect.
Just in time for all your Halloween lovers, right?
Exactly. You've got to, haven't you? You've got to. This is why, like, myself, because all I do is write horror. I don't divert into other genres because, you know, that's what I'm into. And I'll have a few quiet months in the summer when it's hot. And and then all of us, I'm a goth as well, so there you go. You know, son, stay indoors, get out of the way. And then all of a sudden, wallop.
Right?
Busy.
And it comes fast.
As soon as October happens, it's just absolutely manic. So it's been out. How long had it been out before in its previous incarnation?
It had been out almost a year. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. Yeah. Cool. Do you want to just give us a little elevator pitch for those listening at home?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So those of us, I mean, it's been a while for me, but if you remember back when you were a teenager, I think we all went through that phase where we kind of felt invisible, but at the same time, you wanted to make these huge changes in the world. So I thought, why wouldn't you take that to extremes? So our main character, David, is in a big family. He's the youngest of a big family. So I thought it would be, you get forgotten everywhere. And he gets forgotten somewhere as a kid is where the book starts out, which we can all remember. That's like a pivotal moment in childhood, except for as his childhood goes on, David starts to get forgotten more and more often. So it gets to the point where he's increasingly isolated and invisible, like physically starting to be invisible, realizing this is something bigger. His family rents a summer cabin at a lake every summer. They find out this summer that there's been an addition added to the cabin with a locked door, and David's the one that finds the key. When he opens it, it opens to this mirror dimension of his world. He calls it Bizarro World. And it's the cabin at different times, future, some past, but it's abandoned. It's been recently raised of people by something that only comes out at night. And he's the only one that can see it. His family can't seem to sense this thing on the other side of the door. And it wants through onto his side. He's got to stop it, and nobody else even really knows there's a problem or what's going on. So I thought it'd be fun to explore the idea of, if you had to save the world and you're invisible, if you failed, your world would end. If you succeeded, no one would even really know that you were the hero of the story. Yeah.
That sounds great. That's a great concept. I like that. Yeah,
it was really fun to play with.
Yeah, it's that pivotal moment when you realize as a child that the world doesn't revolve around you.
Yes.
That's great. I mean, I'm a fan of the sort of quieter horror. I like things that build tension and all that kind of stuff. So that sounds great. I'll have to pick up.
Yeah. And this one is very quiet horror, a little bit slower paced, real character based. And yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I'll definitely have to pick up a copy of that. Righto. Did you have a chance to have a think and choose a goth classic for us to lead out on?
I did. And again, it's not really my wheelhouse, but there was a few of them where I'm like, if I was thinking of my character, David, that he would probably have been into. I thought a fun one to explore is like The Cure, because they're such chameleons and they change so fast over time.
Nice.
Probably something like Disintegration, because David always falls like he's falling a bit apart and everything's falling apart and the world is ending, and I think Disintegration captures that really well.
Wonderful. Excellent. Yeah, we'll go with that. Excellent. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Shelley. And that sounds great, the book. Again, that's October the 8th through Erie River Publishing. And yeah, go out and get yourself a copy. And we'll go out on your choice of song, which is Disintegration by The Cure.
By bit starts just let go, my heart is
You're online at the Feel Good Station.
Woo! Well, that definitely blows the cobwebs out. The first track you heard there was the choice of guest Shelly Campbell. That was Disintegration by The Cure from their album of the same name, which many Cure fans would say was their best album. Now, I'm one of those controversial ones that would disagree and say that their best was either Pornography or, even more controversially, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. I love that album. Anyway, thanks again to Shelly for coming on. And if you want to come on the show, just get in contact with me at cellarofhorrors@gmail.com. That's cellarofhorrors@gmail.com. That's all one word, all lowercase. Not just if you want to come on for an interview, if you have a track you want me to play. Which brings me neatly to the second track there. That was the new single, Proof of Diagnosis, by Spawn of Psychosis. It came out in August, and it's a band I wasn't familiar with until Chris Dredge from the band got in contact and asked if he could send in some tracks for my perusal to put on the show. And I said, hell yeah, bring it on. And he did bring it on, and I liked it. I'm really interested. And like I say, I wasn't familiar with the band at all. They've had 3 singles out this year, but they do have a bunch of full-length albums and other releases on their Bandcamp page, which is spunofpsychosis.bandcamp.com. I've already got some of their stuff in my basket. I like it. It's been a while since I heard that sort of punky industrial metal stuff. There was a big sort of thing. There was a lot of it around in the sort of late 90s with bands such as Action Pact and things like that, and even Cat Scan to a degree. And I really like that kind of stuff. But I've not heard a lot of it for a long time, so it was refreshing. And like I say, it certainly blows out the cobwebs. So if you have any tracks you want me to get on the show, or you just want to run past my ears, because even if I don't want to put it in the show, I can use it in my DJ sets when I do my monthly night at the Caroline of Brunswick. That's last Saturday of every month. Right, from one new release to another, we're going to go with a brand new track from Yorkshire-based band Skeletal Family, sort of classics of the goth scene. This is their new single called Cry Baby that released on the 1st of October. Enjoy. Great stuff. That was Cry Baby by legendary Leeds goth band Skeletal Family. And now, I've not been that familiar with this current lineup of the band. I've only actually heard one other track by this lineup called My Own Redemption, which was an absolutely superb track. There's 2 versions of it currently on the Bandcamp, and in the Studio Electric version and an acoustic version. But this is even better in my opinion. This is quintessentially Skeletal Family. It's got that trademark Stan Greenwood jangly guitar, which that's the sound of Skeletal Family for me, you know. As long as it's got that sound, it's Skeletal Family. I really like this new lineup It's sort of the same but kind of different. I just really like it. I really like Annika's vocals. Skeletal Family are playing a show on the 3rd of December up in Leeds at the Lending Rooms. It's a limited capacity, so if you're planning on going, I would strongly suggest you get tickets in advance because they'll probably sell like hotcakes. I'm going to try and get up to that myself, actually. I've not seen this lineup, obviously, so yeah, might have to be done. Yeah, Skeletal Family have always been one of the big ones for me, one of the big, the sort of band you have to collect every 7-inch and 12-inch single, every different, just in case there's a different version on there. I've been a big fan of them going way back to when I first heard Promised Land, and when I was still in short trousers. They're an absolutely superb band. I'll definitely be keeping my eyes peeled on this later lineup, because if they have any shows, I'm going. So watch this space. Righty-ho, we're hurtling onwards towards the end of the second hour, to the end of the show, to the end of another week of, I don't know, goth tunes and me rambling on about things, and Septimus being a terror as usual. What do you mean, oi you? What do you want? Oh God, sorry Septimus, I did. He just said that weeks ago I promised him mix this song into Assemblage 23's Maps of Reality by the Gothsicles. Where's my Gothsicles, he cries. I'm really sorry, Septimus, I did. So I tell you what, we'll do that now. What's your language? Yes, it is about time, but there's no need for that. This is a family show, remember, you daft spider. Oi, do you want me to put you in your box? Right, before my co-presenter throws whatever spiders have in their pram out of it, I'm going to mix this song into Assemblage 23's Maps of Reality by the Gothsicles. Now this is actually the Assemblage 23 remix featuring Tom Shear from Assemblage 23. Yeah, this version is mixed and was released on Nesferar 2, TWO 2, which was an EP, a sort of remix EP, and I think it shows, because I think if you listen to Assemblage 23, a lot of it is quite morose and melancholic, but it gives over the lie that Tom Shear's miserable, because if he joined in on this, then, the guy's got a sense of humour. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for listening. We'll be back, same time, same place, next week, for a Whitby special, where we'll be previewing all the bands playing at this year's Tomorrow's Ghost Festival and some of the other fringe shows around Whitby Goth Weekend. So that's goodbye from me, Tim Mendes, and goodbye from Septimus the Bad Spider.